All right. Welcome back, everybody. Please let me know if you can hear me now. And if so, we will go ahead and get started with our show. And I am so sorry about that technical difficulty. StreamYard and I are going to have some words with one another. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. And if so, we will carry on where we left off. I'm going to go make this other one private. And we will carry on with the show. Can you guys hear me okay now? Let me know. Welcome and welcome back. It looks like we've got sound now, but I don't know that for sure. So somebody let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I'll check it on my phone.
But I don't know that for sure.
All right, it looks like we got sound. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'll actually start over briefly. Yay! Okay, perfect. Sorry about that, y'all. I don't know what happened. It looks like my mics just weren't on. So welcome back to the show. You are now watching AD for PTE. I'm your host, PTE, also known as Permission to Exist. Today is December 27th, 2022. And it has been a very long time since we've been on this channel. So, welcome everyone to the show. And what I was saying before I realized that I wasn't being heard at all because there was no sound was I wanted to let everyone know who has subscribed in recent months, kind of where I stood on the whole topic of what we were calling the touch, which was the global health situation that affected the whole world, shut the whole world down, all of that, and where we stood on the solution to the touch, which we were referring to as the cut on this channel. And we did multiple shows. We had, I think, almost 40 shows before I actually got in trouble on this channel. I actually ended up with 2 strikes on this channel. They have yet since resolved. And now I just have a warning on this channel. So censorship was incredibly heavy. We ended up going over to Odyssey, and that channel is still there. I just haven't done a show on that channel in many, many, many months. Okay. Man, I had the most beautiful intro, you guys. I can't believe that it got chopped off. So now I'm trying to remember everything I said. But basically, what I'm trying to let all the new subs who've come about in recent months know is that I am very much in support of choice. So if you want to or wanted to go out and get the cut for yourself, and to protect yourself or your family or whatever, even if you were forced to do it for your job, I support you. I don't judge you. I feel for you. And I hope that you'll stop while you're ahead. That's it. But other than that, if you decided to go ahead and get it, that's fine. It tends to be in the reverse, where if we decided not to, we've been vilified, crucified, told that we should be locked up, that we shouldn't be allowed to leave the house. People have lost their jobs behind refusing to get the cut, so forth and so on. So there's been a lot of vitriol coming from the opposite direction. So I wanted to let you know that now, just in case you wanted to go ahead and get angry and unsubscribe, do it now, because I like to put who I am out up front versus have you figure it out later. So to date, I have not been cut. I do not plan on getting cut. And with each passing day, more and more information is coming out regarding these things that prove that everything that we said was correct. That everything that we said regarding that medical product was correct. And it's probably far worse than we could ever imagine. And a lot of people have been leaving this earth in rapid and unpredicted ways, and it's starting to stack up. So I say all that to say that in spite of the heavy censorship boot that was put on our neck, it looks that like we were correct about everything that we were talking about on this channel and on the Odyssey channel, okay? So that brings us to tonight. That brings us to present day. As many of you know, Elon Musk bought Twitter a couple of months ago. And since then, he has been releasing information regarding what's been going on the back end of Twitter that was hidden from public view. Thank you for the super chat, Mattify. I appreciate you. Good to see you again. And we know that Elon has been catching a lot of heat, and people who once loved him suddenly hate him. But I must let you guys know that I appreciate what he is doing, because if you haven't figured it out yet, we're all affected by what these tech companies do. I've been affected by what these tech companies do. This channel, AD per PTE, has been affected. Permission to exist has been affected. I know permission to exist has been on somebody's list for months now, months. And we never even talked about the global health situation on that channel. But I've been on their list for months, honey, months. And we're affected. It's not just me, though. Some of your other favorite creators have been affected by this censorship boot. So what I've been waiting on, I've been following all the Twitter file releases. I've been following every single one of them, reading through them. But this is the one that I've been waiting on. And apparently this is only part one. This is only the first part of what they're calling, I'm afraid to even say the words. How sad that I live in a day and time where I can't even use words that are commonly used in everyday conversation, everyday interactions, but we can't say them on the internet or we'll get in trouble. But what I was saying in the intro that y'all couldn't hear was, I don't think that this is going to last for much longer, because more and more information is coming out that is actually proving us correct. So the most recent release is the one that we're going to be reviewing this evening. And I'll say this, if you don't understand the significance or the severity of the information that is coming out and the information that is being released, I'm worried for you. I'm concerned for you. And I'm very, very concerned that you don't know what freedom is, which we've been talking about on Permission to Exist. And I'm very, very concerned that you would quite willingly give your freedom up, because somewhere along the lines, you've given up your right to critical thought and your right to think critically regarding certain issues. Let me record this show really quick, just in case. Give me 1 second. Let me hit record. I want you to record. Yes. All right. Boom. Hopefully that's recording the right screen. And let us continue here. Okay. As I was saying, if you don't understand the significance of this, you are at great risk for, number one, being the first to go. Number two, sacrificing all of your freedom and sacrificing your right to speak freely. That is supposed to be one of the number one most fundamental rights in the United States of America, the right to free speech. Now, does free speech come without consequences? No, but you got to let us at least have the speech first. But when people are taking away your ability to talk about certain issues because they don't fit the plan, or they don't fit the agenda, or they don't fit the narratives, then you become what I've been telling you guys you have become, which is you're getting the corporate experience. So basically, even if you've never worked in a corporate office, you may have worked for a corporation, but if you've never worked in a corporate office, now you kind of know what it's like. In a corporate office, you're not allowed to tell the truth. In a corporate office, you're not allowed to question leadership. You're not allowed to pose questions. You're not allowed to speculate. You're not allowed to do any of those things in a corporate setting. So, but now you kind of know what it's like. You know what it's like to have to change your language and speak in code and risk getting in a lot of trouble when it doesn't line up with what they want you to know. This is why I spent so much time doing 1984 and reading the book. And we did do a debrief on Permission to Exist. I'll link that for you after the show is over. We did debrief 1984. It is important for you to recognize this. Otherwise, you run the risk of giving it all up. So that's why I think what Elon has done is very important. Has he made some missteps? Sure. Has he done some things that have greatly upset some people? Sure. But I think this is more important than all of that. I really, really do. So tonight, what we are going to do is review the Twitter files release of how information on, I'm just going to say the word at risk of getting in trouble myself, information on COVID and what Twitter did in conjunction with the government to keep you from knowing all that there was to know regarding it. All right, so let us begin. This is probably Twitter files release number, I think 8. Yeah, I heard it says 1984 has been banned in schools besides many other books. I wonder why. Get a copy of it while you can. I'll link a copy for you after the show. Thank you for the super chat, Mattify. We'll talk about that another time, okay? It says, what are your ideas about cobalt mining? We'll talk about that another day, okay? But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it so much. So let's go through this thread. And hopefully I'm allowed to read this. It is public information on a very public platform. So hopefully I can read this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this stream gets hit, okay? And in the event that that happens, I am recording and I'll simply upload it to my Odyssey channel. All right, let's go. This was released by David, I guess it's Zwig. A thread, the Twitter files, how Twitter rigged the COVID debate by censoring info that was true but inconvenient to United States governmental policy, by discrediting doctors and other experts who disagreed, and by suppressing ordinary users, including some sharing the CDC's own data. And he's getting ready to detail this for us in the following thread. So it says, so far, the Twitter files have focused on evidence of Twitter's secret blacklists, how the company functioned as a kind of subsidiary of the FBI, and how executives rewrote the platform's rules to accommodate their own political desires. I will be commenting along the way, so it's not going to be a straight read through. And the first thing I want to say is part of what came out in the initial releases of the Twitter files is that Twitter indeed does blacklist people and shadow ban people. So what people suspected this whole entire time, this whole shadow banning thing, turned out to be true. They actually had different categories for the shadow banning, including one that said like, do not promote, and another one that said deboost. So in other words, people could put out tweets. Let's say they had an audience of 100,000. Twitter could tweak it on the back end to make it to where only like 100 of your audience members saw your tweet. And I know for a fact that all of this is happening at YouTube, for a fact. Well, not a proven fact yet, but I'm sure it's going to be proven soon. But I see it every time I go live or do a video on permission to exist. They only roll it out to about 1,000 of you out of 77,000. So for this channel, I only have 1,200 as of right now. After this live stream, I'll probably go back to 1,100 because people are so sensitive and touchy, and you have to walk the fine line and you have to abide by exactly what they believe. And the moment you don't believe what they believe, they get angry and unsubscribe. So I'm sure I'll drop under the number that I have now, but that's okay because I'm tired of catering to people who can't simply weigh two ideas, who can't consider two ideas, and who offer so much grace to other content creators, but not me. So if you're that sensitive, there's nothing I can do for you. And thanks for coming along for the ride as far as you've come. Okay. But I say all that to say, Twitter had been basically shadow banning some of their creators to where their tweets were not going out to all of their people because they didn't like what the person was saying. You see what I'm saying? Complete loss of objectivity. and it became 100% subjective. Okay, so let's continue. What we have yet to cover is COVID. This reporting for the free press is one piece of that important story. The United States government pressured Twitter and other social media platforms to elevate certain content and suppress other content about COVID 19. Internal files at Twitter that I viewed while on assignment for the free press showed that both the Trump and Biden administrations directly pressed Twitter executives to moderate the platform's pandemic content according to their wishes. And if you don't understand how significant that is, there's nothing I can do for you. I can't help you, and neither can anyone else. Because this means that they weren't doing it based on facts. They were doing it based on how they felt, feelings. Okay? At the onset of the pandemic, according to meeting notes, the Trump administration was especially concerned about panic buying. They came looking for help from the tech companies to combat misinformation about runs on grocery stores, but there were no runs on grocery stores. So let's take a look at his receipt here. And it says, the Trump White House, specifically Michael Kratsios, led the Trump administration's calls for help from the tech companies to combat misinformation. Areas of focus included conspiracies around 5G cell towers, runs on grocery stores, and misinformation that could stoke panic buying and behaviors. So far, it appears that when Trump was still in office, his big concern was making sure that, it started me completely over. Let me go pull it back up. Making sure that people didn't do like a run, almost like a bank run, but for grocery stores. Let me pull it back up. So now I know if I open a picture and close that picture, it's going to close the whole thread. Good grief. Hold on. Let me pull it back. I like how this stream is having so many issues. Coincidence or... All right, let's pull it back up here. All right. Let's get it here. Boom. All right. So Trump didn't want y'all draining the grocery stores, basically, of everything that they were worth. That seems to be the extent that Trump was involved, but I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's find out. It says it wasn't just Twitter. The meetings with the Trump White House were also attended by Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and others. And his receipt says, Twitter, alongside several other tech companies, including Google, Facebook, and Microsoft, participated. Activities included a standing weekly call to share to share general trends and hosting a shared Microsoft Teams group. Some of the companies, not Twitter, gathered open sourced information from researchers. Our teams fed this information to the Twitter policy enforcement teams. So basically, at the time, the Trump administration was meeting with Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and others, okay? Now, it is going to transition to Biden here in this next piece. Said when the Biden administration took over, one of their first meeting requests with Twitter executives was on COVID. The focus was on anti-vaxxer accounts, especially Alex Berenson. And the receipt reads, one of the first meeting requests from the Biden White House was about COVID misinformation. Per regular process, public policy took the meeting. Biden's staff focused on, I hate to say the word, but I have to, vaccines and high-profile anti-vaxxer accounts, including Alex Berenson. So, before we even get deep in there, the big takeaway so far is that the federal government was meeting with the leaders of these tech companies to basically discuss what messaging was allowed and what messaging was not allowed regarding this issue. And I don't know that this has ever really happened in our history before, or if it even could have, because these tech companies didn't really exist like that just a few decades ago. So I wonder if these type of meetings used to take place with the heads of like newspapers or the heads of magazines and things of that nature. Absolutely. The chap says two wings on the same bird. You got it. You got it. And if you all will think back, and this is why it's so important, documentation is so important. If you'll think back when the election was going on, both Kamala and Joe Biden said that they would not trust a vaccine released under the Trump administration. Do you guys remember that? You might not, and I should have pulled it up, but they both said it. It's on video. Then, when they took over, all of a sudden, they were the greatest things in the world, the greatest thing the world has ever seen. Take it, take it, take it, go get it, go get it. Remember? So Trump kind of got the ball rolling with Operation Warp Speed. And when that was happening, both Kamala and Joe said that they wouldn't trust it, anything that Trump released. Then as soon as he won the election, suddenly the whole narrative changed and they were the greatest invention ever. Your memory may not serve you well enough to remember that, but it absolutely happened and it's on video. It's undeniable. And they refuse to acknowledge that shift. They refuse to acknowledge what changed regarding their feelings. What changed? I felt the same way the whole entire time. I don't care if Trump releases it or Biden. I don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. They say, trust the science. I say, oh, I trust the science. It's the scientists that I don't trust. Because so many of them have been bought and paid for and totally compromised. Totally compromised. So it's the scientists that I don't trust, not the science. Oh, I trust the science. It's the scientists that I have issue with. Let's continue. It says in the summer of 2021, President Biden said social media companies were killing people for allowing vaccine misinformation. Berenson was suspended hours after Biden's comments and kicked off the platform the following month. So I'm not familiar with this Alex Berenson person. I wonder if he's been reinstated since Elon took over. But what this is telling you is that as soon as Biden said the tech companies were killing people, this Alex Berenson person was kicked off of the platform. Okay. Berenson sued and then settled with Twitter. In the legal process, Twitter was compelled to release certain internal communications, which showed direct White House pressure on the company to take action on Berenson. So they were focused on specific people, you guys. I think that is serious. That's crazy. They were focused on specific people. So let me see. This receipt says a lot of it has been blacked out or redacted, so you can't see it. But this is from their Slack channel. And one message says, how was the White House? And then the response to that was, overall, pretty good. They had one really tough question about why Alex Berenson hasn't been kicked off from the platform. Otherwise, their questions were pointed but fair, and mercifully, we had answers. So that means the White House and all of their activities had this one person's name, and they wanted to see this individual removed from Twitter. So this individual could not share the information that they had with the general public. They literally wanted to control what you saw and what you read and what you heard, which is very scary because it's almost like they have taken on the role of kindergarten teacher and monitoring, as you should with a child, what the child is reading, what the child is watching, what the child is engaging with on the internet, as you should with a child. Would any of you just let your kid just go crazy, like your baby child who's just kind of learning to read and stuff? Just hand them the internet and say, go crazy? Probably not. You will probably monitor what your child sees, because you know your child doesn't have the judgment yet to differentiate between quality information and not quality information, adult information and not adult information. You don't want your kid exposed to everything. So you monitor what your children do. Well, the White House has taken on that approach with you. They've taken on the position that you, as an adult, can't think for yourself, and therefore we're going to control what you see, because you can't think for yourself and you can't make decisions for yourself. We'll do it for you. Okay? Information control, knowledge control, thought control. Let's keep going. A December 2022 summary of meetings with the White House by Lauren Culbertson, Twitter's head of U.S. public policy, adds new evidence of the White House's pressure campaign and cements that it repeatedly attempted to directly influence the platform. Culbertson wrote that the Biden team was very angry that Twitter had not been more aggressive in deplatforming multiple accounts. They wanted Twitter to do more. And here's what his receipt says. His receipt says the Biden team was not satisfied with Twitter's enforcement approach, as they wanted Twitter to do more and to deplatform several accounts. Because of this dissatisfaction, we were asked to join several other calls. They were very angry in nature. Now imagine that. Just really think about that. You're mad, you're angry. Oh, I'm angry that you won't deplatform these accounts. Like, why the anger? If this was really about health and really about protecting the public, why the anger? You're angry versus like concerned. You see what I'm saying? Versus concerned. We're concerned, you know. We're very concerned about this. No, we're not concerned. We're angry. We're angry that you won't do what we say. We're furious that you won't actually do what we say do, and do it now. You see what I'm saying? The same people who, by the way, said that they wouldn't trust anything that Trump put out. You know, I was surprised when Kamala took hers, because I thought she wasn't going to take it because Trump started it, but she lined up and took hers. Interesting. Let's keep going. Twitter executives did not fully capitulate to the Biden team's wishes. An extensive review of internal communications at the company revealed employees often debating moderation cases in great detail and with more care than was shown by the government toward free speech. So it sounds like at first Twitter, or the people within Twitter, were really debating whether or not to actually do this, whether or not to deplatform these people, whether or not to silence them, because they wanted it to remain kind of a free speech type of platform. They wanted it to remain that way, it sounds like. So they didn't just run out and do it, which is probably why the Biden administration got so angry, because they didn't just bend over and do what they said. And another big piece of this, which we'll talk about more later, is at what point does a private company just simply become an arm of the federal government? At what point? Because it was never supposed to be an arm of the federal government. That's kind of the whole point. That's kind of the whole point of the release of the Twitter files, to show that companies like Twitter have simply become arms of the federal government. And they are no longer acting like private entities. They are now acting as subsidiaries of the federal government, which nobody thought was going on. I mean, I'm sure some people knew that already, but a lot of people thought this is just a private company. It's not, and it wasn't. Well, it is now that Elon bought it. But leading up to that point, this is basically just another branch of the feds, essentially. Let's continue. It says, but Twitter did suppress views, many from doctors and scientific experts, that conflicted with the official positions of the White House. As a result, legitimate findings and questions that would have expanded the public debate went missing. So, a big part of being an adult is the ability to consider all information that's available and then make a decision based on that. But if you're not given all the information that's available, how can you make a decision? How can you honestly say you've made a choice when the choice was made for you, long before you ever even thought about it, really? Like, it's like a judge making a judgment based on only one side of the story. You have to hear all available evidence, and then you come to your own decision regarding whatever that thing is. But they wanted to strip one side of the debate. That's not okay. It's actually not okay to do that. Let's continue. There were three serious problems with Twitter's process. First, much of the content moderation was conducted by bots trained on machine learning and AI, impressive in their engineering, yet still too crude for such nuanced work. In other words, all these channels that were getting flagged, all these tweets that were getting flagged, accounts that were coming down, things of that nature were being flagged by bots. They weren't even being flagged by real people. That's why so many people could post something that came out in a respected publication or a scientific journal, or in some cases directly from the CDC's website, but the bot is not a human. So the bot can't really read. I know it looks like they can read, but they really can't. They're trained on machine learning and AI. And so when they saw a certain combination of words, they just sent the flag up. Bots still don't quite understand context. And personally, I don't think they ever will. I know everyone is talking about Chat GPT right now, and it's pretty impressive, but I'm still not impressed because the problem is you cannot really teach a bot context. That is a human behavior, that is a human understanding context. So the bot would just see the words and send the flag up on the person. The person would be like, what did I say? What did I do? Did you even hear what I said? No, it's a bot. And then when they go to challenge it, well, you'll see. I'm getting ahead of myself because I've read through this already. So let me stay with the thread. So basically, AI and bots were flagging people's accounts, flagging tweets, doing all this flagging. Then it says, second, contractors in places like the Philippines also moderated content. They were given decision trees to aid in the process, but tasking non experts to adjudicate tweets on complex topics like myocarditis and mask efficacy data was destined for a significant error rate. Okay. And let me try something here. If I open it in a new tab, then it won't close. Let me see. I'm trying to pull the picture up so you guys can get a better look at it. I think it's in a different language though. Yeah, it is. So we can't see it anyway. Lord, I'm sitting here talking on mute again. Yes, I'm muted. I'm sorry. Did y'all hear me? I don't think y'all heard me read any of the tree. Let me read it again. I'm sorry. It said, so this is the decision tree the people in the Philippines were using. It says, is this claim about any of the following topics? Then they had to select from a drop down. Then it says, what kind of message is being advanced regarding this topic? Then it says specifically what is being said. Then it says, what is the author's position? Then on the other side, the right-hand side, there's an enforcement recommendation. Enforcement. It says recommended tweet level remediation. Where does the misinformation reside? And additional recommended remediation. So this is what the people who were in the Philippines moderating the stuff, this is what they were using for their moderation, okay? And with all due respect, and I do mean this with the highest degree of respect, because I only speak one language. But can we really count on individuals with English as a second language, which again is highly respectable? I respect you. I only speak one language. But can individuals who speak English as a second language fully grasp the concept or the content or the context of something? You see what I mean? Can y'all hear me now? I did accidentally mute for a second, but I should be back now. Here, I'll just check on my own phone. Yeah, okay, we're good. Like if I spoke Spanish as a second language and then someone asked me to do content moderation on Spanish content, I don't know how effective at that I would be. Like I would have to be fluent in Spanish to fully understand what I was reading. You see what I'm saying? Like fluent. But basically what this part is telling you is that they were sending out the tweets that were problematic to a whole nother country to let them make the decision for Twitter. That's what this tweet is telling you, okay? So let's continue. It said, third, most important, the buck stopped with higher level employees at Twitter who chose the inputs for bots and decision trees and subjectively decided escalated cases and suspensions. As it is with all people and institutions, there was individual and collective bias. So without regard to whether or not someone is fluent in English, the decision trees were being made by high-level executives, and they were affected by the bias of that particular executive. Absolutely. And the chat says, yeah, like trying to be funny in a second language, you have to be fluent. Exactly. What a good point. Someone could be making a joke, but if you're not like super fluent in that language, you might miss the joke. Or even so much as like, you know how we have a lot of slang words? I'll give you a perfect example right now. Even though people have been saying this for years, it's become popular recently to put the word not in front of something like ironic or funny. So I'll give you an example. You would say it like this: not Twitter censoring COVID information, not sending information to the Philippines, not having people in the Philippines moderate content. Now, if you're up on modern day language in the current zeitgeist and language, what I'm actually saying is, oh no, you didn't have Twitter censor information. Oh no, you didn't send tweets to the Philippines to be moderated. So it's hard to explain. Some of you already know what I'm talking about. Some of you are still probably like, what? But it's kind of like when you're like, not me going to get my nails done, you know, oh, not my birthday coming up. They're like, oh, her birthday's not coming up, when it actually is. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, not me flying first class. Like, oh, okay, so she's not going to be flying first class, but she is. Like, it's hard to explain, but that's the whole point. You have to be extra fluent and kind of up on everything to really, really make that decision. But even so, it doesn't matter, because people at Twitter were designing the decision trees for them to make the decision off of. Anyway, so when they say things like sending to a human for review, what that probably means is they're just sending it to someone in a whole different country who has a decision tree in front of them, and they're just clicking things like click, 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 click. They're not watching the whole video. And YouTubers know this, because anytime we get in trouble and we reach out to figure out what we did, typically we'll ask, well, did you watch the whole video? And we know they didn't, because a video could be 2 hours long, and they'll come back to you with a decision within 15 minutes. You didn't watch the whole video. Like, you obviously didn't watch the whole video. You watched like a clip, and you took that clip and made a decision without considering that clip in the context of the whole video. But this is what's been happening behind the scenes. They never wanted us to know this, you guys. Never. Let's keep going. With COVID, this bias bent heavily toward establishment dogmas. So in other words, the bias was towards whatever the establishment was saying was okay, without regard to what was actually true. Mercy. Inevitably, dissident yet legitimate content was labeled as misinformation, and the accounts of doctors and others were suspended, both for tweeting opinions and demonstrably true information. This one really resonated with me, because when we were doing shows on this channel, on A Deeper PTE, I was reading directly from published articles. I very rarely speculated. And if I did, I would always say, this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. But that was rare. I was keeping a whole list of every article with the link to it. And I would put those links in the description box so you could go read it yourself. So quite often I was citing information from journals, published information on their accepted media outlets like NBC, ABC, CNN. You know, they're publishing it on their own pages, and yet somehow we're still wrong. How could we be wrong for sharing information that's publicly available, that's being put out by mainstream media? But it didn't matter, because it had become this whole back end system of a robot or AI would see a certain combination of words, flag that content. Then that flag content gets shipped overseas for someone who probably speaks English as a second language to decide whether or not it violated policy. Like, this is why Elon fired the CEO as soon as he got there. Fired all of them. The CEO, I think he fired the company attorney. He fired a couple of other people too. He fired a lot of people. And normally I'm not for people losing their jobs. Y'all know how I feel about work and employment and things like that. But if this is what you were up to and you think it's okay. Oh, there's no maybe. The chat says maybe YouTube does the same thing. YouTube absolutely does the same thing. And worse, I would imagine. Worse. Like, I think YouTube is actually 10 times worse. 10 times worse than Twitter. Okay? Let's keep going. It says Exhibit A. Dr. Martin Koldorf, an epidemiologist at Harvard Medical School, tweeted views at odds with U.S. public health authorities and the American left, the political affiliation of nearly the entire staff at Twitter. And let's read what it says. It says, no, thinking that everyone must be vaccinated is as scientifically flawed as thinking that nobody should. COVID vaccines are important for older high-risk people and their caretakers. Those with prior natural infection do not need it, nor children. That's what Dr. Martin Koldorf said. And he got in trouble, I believe. Let's take a look. And by the way, I don't know if you missed that, but the political affiliation of almost everyone at Twitter at the time was the political left, the American left, which is just, man, that could be a separate show. But like I've shared with you all many times, this whole entire situation caused me to disaffect from the left. And now I basically sit really not even in the middle. I feel like an orphan, like I told you guys. I am officially a political orphan. I have no political home because I personally believe both parties have lost their ever loving minds. I think they've both gone off the deep end. And this would be a perfect example of that. Like, and just to kind of deviate really quick, do y'all know who Gene Simmons is? I believe he was one of the musicians in the rock band Kiss, I think. The guys who would put on the wigs and the black and white makeup, and I don't know one of their songs, or at least I don't think I know any of their songs. And the point that was being made back in the day, I thought, was that like these rock stars were like anti-establishment, right? You know, Rage Against the Machine, you know, down with the establishment, down with Big Brother. Like that's kind of what they put out there, like in the 70s and I guess 80s, I'm not sure. So to see people like Gene Simmons, and I'll actually do a direct quote here in a minute because I think I bookmarked it, basically say, shut up, you don't have any rights, go get your vaccine and stop complaining, you big babies. It's like, whoa, I thought you were like that's why for people like me, it's been such a shock. Not that I've been a fan of Gene Simmons or Kiss. Again, I don't think I know any of their songs. You know how you'll know a song, you just don't know who sings it? I don't think I know any of their songs. Never been a fan. But if you would have asked me who would be pro and who would be against, I would think it would be them because they were supposed to be the rebels. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh, you saw that PSA he did? Yeah. These are supposed to be the rebels. These are supposed to be the ones who rebel against government. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to call for an uprising here. I'm just saying that, like, the same ones, like Neil Young, for example. We already talked about Neil Young months ago, but the ones who I thought would be like, whoa, slow down. Like, no, you're not going to force anybody to take anything, have turned out to be the very ones saying, go get it. Go get it. Stop complaining. Stop crying. You know, I'm trying to find it in my bookmarks. Stop whining. It's like, whoa. It's like, has this been a setup since the very beginning? Like, have all of these people been put in place for this very moment? Meaning back in the day when he was a rebel and tongue out and black and white face paint and horrify, you know, the conservatives and horrify this and horrify that, you know, was that all just to kind of get people grouped together for this very moment? So then when it comes time for us to force you to do something, hopefully you'll trust us because, you know, we're the rebel type situation. Does that make sense? Maybe I didn't bookmark it because I can't find it. Oh, man. But I bet you I can find it if I just do a quick search. Sorry to deviate, but because we're on the topic, I just want to. Gene Simmons. Let's see if I can find it. Welcome, everyone, to, by the way. Oh, yeah, here it is. Here, I'm just going to do this. Copy. Come over here. Paste and go. Let's just take a quick detour. Just a quick one. Now, this is your rebel. This is Mr. Black and White face paint. This is Mr., you know, scare all the Christian conservatives and all that back in the day. Now listen to him. Uh-oh. Where's my sound? Why is my sound not working today? Why is my sound not working? Oh, for the love of God. Just forget it. Just forget it. Well, basically, what he said was, you don't have as many rights as you think. Shut up, be respectful, and get a vaccine. Why is my sound not working? I bet you because it's probably feeding through the microphone. Just forget it. But he said that. You don't have as many rights as you think. Shut up, be respectful, and get a vaccine. Mr. Black and White face paint. Chat says, I often wonder how people I admired but died right before this would have acted. Like, it has changed my opinion on so many people. So many people. Like, I'm like, then what have we been fighting for all these years then? What are you fighting for exactly if you so easily rolled over and said, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I'll go take as many of them as you need? I don't care how it affects me. Really? And here's the kicker. If that's what you want to do it, honey, go for it. But the fact that they then expected everyone else to do it too, and tried to force everyone else to do it and threaten them and threaten their jobs and their livelihoods and their ability to travel and move about the country and things of that nature. You threaten them and follow through with your threats in some circumstances. Like, wow, like, who are you really? Who are you really? Yeah, it does sound like shut up and dribble. Chat says many celebrities have proven to be perfect idiots. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, let's continue. It says internal emails show an intent to action by a moderator saying Koldorf's tweet violated the company's C-19 misinformation policy and claimed that he shared false information. So here's the internal email. It says, hi team, sending a heads up that we will take action on Martin Koldorf, a professor of Harvard Medical School, for violating our C-19 misinformation policy, specifically by sharing false information regarding the efficacy of the C-19 haircuts, which goes against CDC guidelines. So these are the emails going back and forth within Twitter. This guy who has no idea, he's a doctor at Harvard Medical School. Excuse me, he's a doctor, but he's a professor at Harvard Medical School. And his tweet said, no, thinking that everyone must be cut is as scientifically flawed as thinking that nobody should. Haircuts are important for older high-risk people and their caretakers. Those with prior natural infection don't need it, nor do children. And that has literally come out to be true. It's yet and since come out to be true, because this is from 2021. And they're sending emails back and forth on Twitter talking about they're going to take action on his account. You see? So let's keep going. I'm sure this live stream is going to get knocked. I have no doubt. I have no doubt about it. And that just goes to show you how powerful this whole entire thing is. Let's keep going. It says, but Koldorf's statement was an expert's opinion, one which also happened to be in line with vaccine policies in numerous other countries. Yet it was deemed false information by Twitter moderators merely because it differed from the CDC's guidelines. So in other words, they weren't listening to anyone, not even the experts, not even the people who should have had the greatest voice through all of this, people who went to medical school, who have been in the medical practice, who are licensed physicians, licensed doctors. So much so that you could be a professor at Harvard Medical School, and yet because it differed from the CDC, they labeled it false information. So let's take a look at what happened. It says, after Twitter took action, Koldorf's tweet was slapped with a misleading label, and all replies and likes were shut off, throttling the tweet's ability to be seen and shared by many people, the ostensible core function of the platform. So in other words, once they labeled his tweet misleading. They disabled the ability for people to comment on it, and they disabled the ability for people to like it. And I imagine share it too. They couldn't share it either. So at least they didn't delete his whole account after this, but people couldn't talk about it. And that's what's important, you guys. People couldn't talk about it. They couldn't ask questions. And many people never even saw it. Never. Absolutely. The chat says they basically got all celebrities with any influence to push the propaganda and will continue to use them for whatever narrative they want to push. Absolutely. And that's why being a celebrity sucks, because you become the ultimate corporate employee. And when you won't play nice with them, they punish you greatly. When you're a celebrity and they've given you all that money and influence and power, and then they need you to push a certain narrative or push a certain idea and you won't agree to do it, you get punished. You get publicly flogged and humiliated and embarrassed, basically. And I want you to think about who all that has happened to in recent months. One that comes to mind for me is Will Smith. Now, you all know that he got himself in trouble by slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. And then society got all, oh, they clutched their pearls collectively, which made me roll my eyes so hard. This degenerate, debased, debauched society. I can't believe he did that. Oh my God. I'm so offended. And yet you're going to go watch a violent movie when you get home. You're going to go watch a violent movie when you get home. You love it. You love violence. You saw some real life violence and you're horrified. Like, stop. He didn't shoot the man. He smacked him. But it came out later that Will allegedly has refused to get the haircut. And have you heard Will Smith one time before or after the slap push the haircut? Probably not. So when you don't go along with what these people want, you have to basically get punished for that. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm drifting off into a whole nother theory. I think I did a show on that too. But I'm way drifting. But basically my theory is because Will wouldn't play nice with this whole thing, they were like, well, we're going to get rid of you. So do you want to do it your way or do you want to do it our way? And he chose his way out, basically. Anyway, sorry, different show, different theory, different topic altogether. But yeah, when you don't play nice with them, they're going to punish you for that. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say Cardi B all of a sudden decided she didn't want to promote the stripper lifestyle as a way of life. Let's say she wanted to promote family and home and hearth and being a mom and raising her kids right and all that. They probably actually go follow through with the charges that are already like pending against her. Like she has all these like weird cases out there. And as of right now, she's perfectly safe. And she's perfectly fine as long as she pushes poison. Do you understand? But if she ever decided she didn't want to push poison anymore and she wanted to push positivity, they would publicly flog her. They would publicly humiliate her. They would find other charges and other criminal things that she's done in the past. They would push it through the courts because you're not going to go against them. Do you understand? When you're a celebrity, you're not allowed to. That's the other side of the coin. That's the other side of the contract. The one side of the contract is we're going to give you millions of dollars. We're going to make you very famous. We're going to make you a household name. In exchange, you have to basically do whatever we say. No matter how bad it is for other people and for society at large, you do it if you want to keep making this money and you want to be a household name. Meeting with the president and things of that nature and singing at the Super Bowl and things of that nature. If you want to continue that, you do what we say. As soon as you decide you don't want to do what we say anymore, we are going to publicly, it's going to be, you're going to wish you were dead at the end of it, basically. All right, let's keep going back to the Twitter files. It says, in my review of internal files, I found countless instances of tweets labeled as misleading or taken down entirely, sometimes triggering account suspensions simply because they veered from CDC guidance or differed from establishment views. So, in other words, you're not allowed to have your own independent voice in our society anymore. You're not. Your voice needs to reflect what the establishment says is correct. Otherwise, you're committing a thought crime. And you don't want to engage in wrong speak, do you? So you need to figure out what the establishment says is correct so you don't commit any thought crimes, okay? Shame on you. It says a tweet by Kelly KGA, a self-proclaimed public health fact checker with 18,000 followers, was flagged as misleading, and replies and likes were disabled, even though it displayed the CDC's own data. So here's the tweet. Here, I'll pull this one up in a different page so we can take a better look. She's quoting directly from the CDC and got flagged. So her tweet said, "What an excellent example of cherry picking. If you narrow it down to only the specific months you specify, which include the largest COVID wave seen across the world, and you ignore all non-disease deaths, and you ignore cancer, heart disease, SIDS, then COVID is leading." And she pulled this directly from the CDC's website, and it got flagged as misleading. Absolutely. The chat says, so basically the thought police is real. 100%. 100%. That would be a perfect summary. The thought police is real. Realer than we could have ever imagined. And it makes me wonder so much what other things this has happened with that we just didn't notice. We didn't notice and we didn't know because there was never such high stakes attached to it. Never in the past have we been forced to do something, take something and put it in our body, or risk everything, risk our jobs, risk our school in some circumstances, risk falling out with friends and family. We've never had a situation like this, so we didn't notice. It really makes me wonder, y'all. It makes me wonder. Let's keep going. It says internal records show that a bot had flagged the tweet and that it received many tattles, which is what the system calls reports from users. They call them tattles. That triggered a manual review by a human who, despite the tweet showing actual CDC data, nevertheless labeled it misleading. That's because a lot of these humans, y'all. So in other words, people tattled on her tweet, a human reviewed it, and it still got labeled misleading. That's because a lot of these people, I wish y'all could see what the inside of these corporations was really like. If you've never seen the inside or you happen to be young, you'll think that it probably consists of some of the smartest people you ever met. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case. They spend the majority of their time attending meetings, which when you're attending a meeting, you're not actually doing anything. You're either running your mouth or you're listening, one or the other, but you're typically not really working, which would consist of thought and then some form of output, right? Most of these people are attending meetings, setting up their lunch breaks and their lunch hour, swiping left or right on Tinder, and figuring out what they're going to do after work in the form of a happy hour. Like they're talking on Slack with emojis. Oh my God. Like I can't even begin to describe it to you. Like it's not what you think is what I'm trying to tell you. It's not some bastion of intellectual minds getting together and solving complex problems. Like it's just typically a gathering of individuals trying to figure out how they're going to pass the day so they can go home. A lot of people spend most of their time pretending to look busy, but they're not actually busy. They're just pretending to look busy, honey. Don't get me started. All right. So that means this person got this thing, was probably annoyed because they had to stop swiping left or right or Tinder, reviewed it really quick, didn't actually read or think about what she was saying, and just labeled it misleading and kept it pushing. So let's continue. It says, tellingly, the tweet by Kelly KGA that was labeled misleading was a reply to a tweet that contained actual misinformation. COVID has never been the leading cause of death from disease in children, yet that tweet remains on the platform and without a misleading label. Wow. So basically, let me see if I can actually make that one bigger. Okay, so someone had tweeted that since December of 2021, COVID has been the leading cause of death from children, from disease in children. And she was saying, if you ignore all other diseases, then yes, you're correct. She was saying, if you ignore non-disease deaths, things like accidents, things like that, cancer, heart disease, SIDS, then yeah, then COVID becomes the leading. That's what she was trying to say. But her tweet got flagged, but the initial tweet that she was responding to didn't get flagged and stayed up. Because, see, in order to figure something like this out, that would require you actually reading and thinking and using your brain to figure out that the initial tweet was not correct. But nobody wants to do that. I think, have some of y'all seen that? It's a TikTok. I think this girl has since been fired, but it was like a day in the life of a Twitter employee. She was like, I wake up and I make my protein shake. Then I go to the gym at Twitter and I work out for about an hour. Then I go sit on the rooftop and do some work. And then lunchtime, let me see if I can find it. I don't know why the sound, day in the life of a Twitter employee. I don't know why my sound isn't working. Oh, I found it here. I think I know how to fix the sound. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, and I will link all this for you guys after the show is over. Yeah, that's why it's not working. There we go. I'll link it all for you after the show is over, because I know trying to listen to something while it's being chopped up with commentary is not easy. I get that. So I'll link it for you so you can go read it yourself if you haven't already. But I think this girl really sums up what these people are up to all day. Okay. So let's take a look. This is this is a day in the life of a Twitter employee. You ready?
Day in the life as a 23-year-old product manager at
Oh, sorry.
Meta. I always journal in
Not Twitter. This is Meta. Day in the life of a 23-year-old product manager at Meta. Here we go.
Day in the life as a 23-year-old product manager at Meta. I always journal in the morning. I then do a quick workout routine. I get dressed. I try to look cute every day. Got some food at the office. I make a coffee every single morning. I leave that. I did some work on the roof, worked until lunch, and then ate up there. Here's me being cute. I got a snack always. I then shuttled home. The view's so pretty. Met up with some friends for dinner, and then my boyfriend came over and was acting like a DJ for my dog. Day in the life as a 23-year-old product manager at Meta. I always journal in the morning. I then do a quick workout routine. I get dressed. I try to look cute every day. Got some food at the office. I make a coffee every single morning. I leave that. I did some work on the roof, worked until lunch, and then ate up there. Here's me being cute. I got a snack always. I then shuttled home. The view's so pretty. Met up with some friends for dinner, and then my boyfriend came over and was acting like a DJ for my dog. Day in the life as a 23-year-old product manager at
So even though this is not Twitter, this is what's happening, you guys. And I think, oh, it went away. Dang. Oh, here it is. The tweet, it says, after watching this video, you'll understand why Meta lost 70% of its market cap and fired 11,000 employees. Meanwhile, Twitter has fired 75% of its staff and is surprisingly functioning very well. That's because the majority of these people don't do anything all day, y'all. Nothing. Nothing. Like, it's so ridiculous. It's insane. I've seen it firsthand. And I think my issue is I need to find a way to internalize, girl, stop going up in these places thinking that you have work to do. You don't. Just go, do what this girl does, journal, then get some coffee, then go get some food, go sit on the roof with your laptop, respond to a couple of Slacks and a couple of emails, then go do lunch, then go plan your dinner for after work, and then go home and get some guy to DJ for your dog. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to work, loser. You're actually trying to work, you loser. You lame. You're actually trying to earn your paycheck, lame. You're lame. Yeah, just basically just show up. I show up ready to work. Like, I got my notebook. I'm ready to take notes. What do you need me to do? What's the process? What's due? What are the deliverables? What are the deliverables? What are your deliverables? Like, why am I here, basically? Trying to earn my check. That's my mistake. That's why I keep running into problems. They're like, look at this freaking loser trying to earn her check. Instead of just showing up, going to the coffee machine, getting a bagel and some coffee, going to her desk and watching a couple of TikToks, then going to the rooftop, sitting out there with her laptop for about an hour and a half, coming back, going to a meeting, and then going home. Loser, you're actually down to work. You're so lame. You're lame. Now that I got my sound working, I do want y'all to hear this Gene Simmons video.
Well, get over yourself. We're not concerned if you agree with it or not. We're concerned about you making us sick. So get your goddamn COVID shot and prevent other people from getting your stuff.
It's a good point, and we're having a debate this morning about that very thing, really. A debate about whether mask wearing should be returned to be mandatory here in the UK. Restrictions have been lifted. And I understand you even suggest people who come to your concerts wear them for their own protection.
We are doing the KISS cruise shortly, and you will not be able to get on the cruise unless you're vaccinated. Look, before you go to school, you have to have your children get the flu vaccine and the polio vaccine, and there's no discussion. And, what about my rights? Well, you don't have as many rights as you think. When you get up to a red light, you must stop. There's no choice. It's because it's not about you. It's about the other innocent people going by. So get over yourself. Even you get in your car, you must put on a seatbelt. Well, you're taking away my rights, and the government's telling me what to do. That's right. The government is telling you what to do. Shut up, be respectful of other people, and get a vaccine. Put on your seatbelt, stop at the red light, stop being selfish.
You heard that? You heard that? He said, that's right. The government is telling you what to do. Wow. Wait a minute. I could have sworn. Let me just pull up something. I could have sworn you were the same man running around here in black and white makeup. Gene Simmons, KISS. Yeah, that's you. Like, really? Like, this is gonna be your guy. This is your boy. This is your boy. That's not him. That's a costume. That's not the point. This your boy, though. Is this your king? That's what I thought. The chat says they used to be against the man. That's what I thought. Like, really? Like, wow. I wouldn't have thought this out of you. I wouldn't have expected this out of you, sir. I really don't. I swear I don't know their songs. Obviously, I know this group and the look because I've been seeing it my whole entire life, obviously. But I wouldn't have put this on you, sir. Like, you look like you go against every system that there is. You look like you go against life itself. And now you're screaming at me, telling me, yes, the government is telling you what to do. The chat says, sorry, but I won't listen to the clown. Like, seriously? This your boy, right? I got the right one, right? Like, really? With the devil horns up and everything. Man. Oh, I have so many thoughts. You throwing the devil horns up, you got your tongue out, you got your little crotch rocket, you got your thighs out in this picture. I see thigh meat. You got your chest out. Telling me, shut up. You don't have as many rights as you think you do. Oh, wow. It says all those bands were raging against the man. That's what I thought. I thought this was the counterculture. That's what I thought. Now you sitting over here talking about, shut up. You don't have as many rights as you think you do. And he made a very, very false comparison, in my opinion, because the whole stopping at a red light thing, number one, driving is voluntary, largely. You really don't have to drive anywhere. You really don't. Some people have to if they want to get food and stuff, but you could walk, you could ride a bike. That's number one. But number two, stopping at a red light doesn't go into my body. Stopping at a red light doesn't have any potential side effects associated with it, other than not wrecking your car and getting into a horrible accident, which I wouldn't consider a side effect. Stopping at a red light does not stay with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't. Nor does putting on your seatbelt, which personally, and this is just my opinion, I never understood why they mandated it as law except for children, like in car seats and small kids, because they're little and they have no control over their lives really. So I get it for kids and babies in car seats. But if you're an adult and you know that if you get into a wreck and you don't have a seatbelt on, you could get severely injured and you choose not to wear one anyway, why would we mandate that by law? Let nature have its way. Like, let nature take its course. Like, but anyway, my point is, neither of those things, stopping at a red light or putting on a seatbelt, go into your body and affect your immune system and affect the functioning of the internal mechanism of your body. It's a temporary thing. So let's just say that I agreed with the mandating of seatbelts. Okay, fine. It's only while you're in a car, though. Once you get out of the car, it's over. And if you never set foot in a car again, you putting on that seatbelt did not affect your life long term, potentially. It didn't. It affected your life for the 30 minutes to an hour or however long you were in there. That's it. And then once you get out, that's it. Your relationship with the seatbelt is over. It's over. It doesn't stick with you for life. You know what I'm saying? Whereas these medical products you're asking us to put into our bodies, one of the first questions I ever had was, because they were very open about how they worked. They said, basically, they teach your cells how to manufacture those little proteins. Y'all know which proteins I'm talking about. They teach your cells how to manufacture them. So your immune system will respond to these cells that your cells are making and build up its immunity to those same cells. They were very open about that. They didn't hide that fact. And my question was, okay, if that's the case, how do your cells know when to stop making them? So you take the medical product, your cells now have learned how to manufacture the very protein that is a problem. And to respond to that problem, your immune system builds up a defense against these little proteins that your cells are making. Okay, great. How does your body know when to stop making them? Like, stop. Okay, you've made enough. Now stop. How does your body know when to stop? You see what I'm saying? That was one of my biggest issues. And I just bring that up to say that's why the whole seatbelt analogy doesn't compare. Like once you put on a seatbelt, your body doesn't then like grow like a seatbelt on itself, like a flesh belt. You don't have a flesh belt now mimicking the seatbelt that you put on. No, you put it on for however long you're in the car, you get out the car, it's over. That's it. Your life is no longer affected by the seatbelt. But this, who knows when your body actually stops manufacturing the damn things? And they wouldn't answer that question. I still haven't heard an answer to that question. How does it know when to stop? How does it know, okay, that's enough? You've done enough. Thank you. You've manufactured this for about 3 months now. You're good. You can stop. And then you follow that up with subsequent infusions. Let me stop. I already got in trouble on this channel before. I'm not trying to get in trouble again. I'm not trying to get in trouble, y'all. I'm just frustrated. I'm so frustrated. Like, but anyway, ain't this your boy with his thigh meat out right here? And the little crotch rocket and his chest out and his tongue out with the devil horns. That's your boy, isn't it? Anyway, I wanted to play that for you. We've gotten way off track. Way off track. Let's go back to the thread, the Twitter thread. So we left off where the girl got in trouble for responding to some actual misinformation, but her tweet got labeled misinformation. Let's continue. It says, whether by humans or algorithms, content that was contrarian but true was still subject to getting flagged or suppressed. This tweet was labeled misleading, even though the owner of this account, a physician, was referring to the results of a published study. So this person, I feel like I can't even read it, but I'm sure I'm already in trouble anyway. It says below, the first study I have seen showing that haircuts in young people ages 16 to 39 are associated with cardiac arrests, not just myocarditis. And then there's a first dose, second dose, cardiac arrest, and then actual touch cases. I've never been very good with charts and graphs and things, so I'm not even going to attempt to interpret this, but the purple line, if you can see it, is the first dose. Then the blue line is the second dose, and then cardiac arrests are the red line. And then you can't really see it, but there's a gray line too. I'm not good at interpreting this stuff. I am going to link this for you guys so y'all can go read it yourself. I'm just, I've seen it already. MCR, it says, please watch the documentary called Departed This Earth Quicker Than Expected. Yeah, I've seen that. I watched the whole thing. I surely did. And it is making its rounds. And they are not happy about it. It is completely swiped from YouTube. Like every time someone tries to put it up on YouTube, it gets taken down. Yeah, I'm speaking in code, Kanga Kong. Speaking in code. Got it. I'm probably already in trouble, but it's okay. But that was our old code. So just to refresh everyone, the global health situation is called the touch. The solution to the global health situation is called the haircut. And then the follow-ups to the haircuts are called trims. All right. Man, we used to have so much fun over here. We haven't heard from Pusha Man in so many years. Well, not years, it's been months, but we haven't heard from Pusha in months. We used to have fun on this channel talking about this nonsense, and they shut it down. So anyway, Andrew Bostom, a Rhode Island physician, was permanently suspended from Twitter after receiving multiple strikes for misinformation. One of his strikes was for a tweet referring to the results from a peer-reviewed study on the haircuts. And that tweet read, primary touch, haircuts, temporarily impairs semen concentration and total motile count among semen donors, with apparent rebound by 5 months, but no data on the boostering effect. Sorry, I should have said trimming. No data on the trimming effect. Does trimming yield another decline? And followed by what? So in other words, we actually talked about this before we got in trouble. The haircut seemed to affect sperm count, basically, and their ability to move around. So, God, help us all. Help us all, God. So this person got permanently banned from Twitter for posting this. And he posted an actual study, you guys. So the question becomes, what more do you want? What more do you want? You only want to hear from authoritative official voices. Well, these people are not only doctors, but they're posting peer-reviewed studies. What more do you want? So if it doesn't come from goofy-ass Rochelle Walensky's mouth, who's the head of the CDC, then it has no credibility. I don't think she knows what's coming or going. I don't think she knows her right hand from her left hand. Never mind. I don't think she knows what's going on, because this is the same woman who came out and was like, we want to thank, on this day, we're remembering the families of the Tuskegee experiment, people who made such a great sacrifice for science. And people ripped her apart. They were like, they did not make a sacrifice for science. They were tricked. They were tricked and given syphilis because the scientists wanted to study and see what it does. I think specifically to Black bodies, I think they specifically were trying to see what it does to Black people, basically. So they lied to these men, told them that they were getting a treatment, and essentially gave them syphilis. And they had lifelong consequences as a result. And some of their babies were born like with either with syphilis or like with the consequences of syphilis, something like that. And she came out and was like, we just want to thank you for your sacrifice. No, a sacrifice implies something voluntary. When you make a sacrifice, that's because you've done something voluntary and it costs you something. As a result of doing that voluntary act, it cost you something. That's a sacrifice, not trickery. Trickery and high con artistry is not a sacrifice. She got ripped apart, but she still has a job though. Anyway, I'm deviating. I'm getting back into my old mode over here because I miss doing shows over here so much, y'all. I think that was probably some of the most fun I ever had creating content for YouTube ever, because it felt so important, but we were also able to kind of laugh at the absurdity of it all. We had a lot of fun before it got shut down over here. Anyway, let's keep going. It says a review of Twitter log files revealed that an internal audit conducted after Boston's attorney contacted Twitter found that only one of Boston's 5 violations were valid. And the receipt says, we have re-reviewed each of the strikes and collaborated with site integrity to validate our findings. Of the 5 violations, 4 of them are not invalid and are not in violation. And only this tweet is in violation of misinformation. As a result, we have now unsuspended the user and responded to their appeal to let them know that we have rescinded their suspension. Also, we have left a pinned note on the account to ensure that before any enforcement action will be taken against the account, it will be subject for review by site integrity. We will also remove the annotations on the tweets we have marked as no violation, I guess. So in other words, until this person's attorney reached out to Twitter and challenged them, that's when they discovered, oh, sorry, we were wrong. Only one of your tweets violated the policy, but the other 4 were correct. Oops. Like, y'all are out here playing with people's reputation. In some cases, playing with people's ability to make money, because some people make money through Twitter. I'm not sure how, but they do. Like, you're out here playing on people's name, and you're wrong, though. You're incorrect. This kind of stuff makes me want to become an attorney so bad, you guys. because I feel like in the coming years, we are going to need as many attorneys as we can get. It's going to be like an all hands on deck type situation. All hands on deck for the lawsuits that are getting ready to come down the pipe. I don't care that the government has granted these pharmaceutical companies immunity from liability, or they got like liability waivers or something like that. It's not going to matter. I'm telling you, it's not. Mark my words. I've made a lot of predictions and a lot of them have come to pass thus far. And one of the predictions that I'm making is their immunity from liability is not going to matter. It's not. Like, trust me, it's not. And it's not even going to be them getting sued though. Because think about it like this. If you're, and I said this on PTE actually, it's one of the only times I ever addressed it over there. If your company forced you to take this medical product under threat of losing your job, and you did it and you were harmed. Well, first of all, before I go there, and you did it, what that means then is that they believed that whatever they were forcing you to do was safe. Kind of like if you go to a construction site and they say you must wear a hard hat in this area because there's debris falling from all over the place. Okay, then that must mean they believe the hard hat is going to be safe. The usage of the hard hat is going to be safe. And it's going to protect you from something much worse, like falling debris. That's fair. But here you are as this regular paper pushing company, this accounting firm, or like a Walmart or one of the airlines or something like that, and many others, colleges even, forcing your students or your employees or whomever to take this product that you know nothing about. Y'all are quick to say, oh, you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. You're not a medical professional. So you can't say this and you can't say that because you're not a doctor. Well, neither are you. And here you are making policy threatening people's livelihood over a product that you know nothing about. You're not a doctor either, but you forced them to take it under threat of losing their job. And they did, and they experienced some sort of adverse effect as a result. You are on the hook for that. You are liable for that. You are. So even if we can't sue the pharmaceutical companies, we're coming after these employers though. And these schools and these colleges that told these kids, you can't get an education unless you're jabbed up and stabbed up. You can't get your education. I wish my school would have tried some foolishness like that. Luckily they didn't. But, or maybe they did, but because I didn't live on campus, I didn't know about it. But I think I would have heard about it. We would have gotten an email and we didn't. But, oh God, we're going to sue you guys. We're going to sue you out of business. We're going to sue you out of existence. We're going to take everything that you have, every penny of liability coverage you have with your insurance companies. We're taking it all. I can't believe the insurance companies allowed this. Because if I was an attorney for that companies have different types of insurance to cover all kinds of different problems, right? You know that, right? I just can't think of the name right now. I'll just say risk management. If I was part of the risk management team, I would have said, guys, hold up, pause. So we're going to force our employees to take this product or we're going to fire them. They would say, yes. I would say, do you know with 100% certainty that product is okay? Oh, well, the CDC says that it's fine. I'm like, and what documents have you reviewed? What doctors have you talked to? I said, okay, let's say the CDC says it's fine and they all take it. And then we're without a workforce in a year because everyone's out with various ailments. Then what? Then we put our business at risk. Or we force them to take it so they don't lose their job. They take it and they get severely injured or, I don't know, die. They're going to sue us, you guys. And they're like, they're not going to sue us. The CDC said it's fine. I'm like, have you sat in on those meetings? Have you reviewed any of that documentation? No, you haven't. You're just trying to make this go away quick. You're trying to move too fast to try to make it go away. And in that, you're going to get yourself sued. We're going to get sued. They're going to sue us. Like their risk management team sucks. Same thing with these other industries, like the airline pilots, for example. That should have been entirely optional. And if I was on their risk management team, I would say, okay, well, in that case, we need to have one pilot who is haircut and the other pilot who is not, because we don't know the long-term effects of these things. And if you have two pilots sitting up there who are both haircut, what if they just happen to have something symptomatic on the same day? There's nobody to save the plane. Nobody. Somebody needs to be unhaircut. We need a control group, basically. I would say make it optional. Tell them it's optional. We recognize there's a medical product out there that can help you, and they're supposed to keep you from getting sick. So as long as one pilot is haircut, that's good enough. And we'll let the other one be part of the control group. But we're not going to force this on them, because not only do we not know what it might do long term, what if they both have something go on with them, their bodies on the same day while they're in the air? Can your flight attendants fly? Do they have their piloting license? And even if they did, I believe the pilots lock the cockpit. So even if the flight attendants knew how to fly the plane, can they even get in? Can they get in the cockpit to fly the plane? Don't get me started, y'all. I'm drifting into old school deeper PTE. This is what we used to talk about. This is how these conversations used to go over here. Like, how foolish, like how stupid are y'all? You're so dumb to take a risk like that, to not make it optional and just tell your people, hey, listen, we're not going to mandate anything on you. If you choose to go get it, you know, you could even make it like a guilt thing. Like, thank you for doing your part. You know, thank you for doing your part to help fight this. But we're not going to force it on you, though, because that's stupid. Because what if it's like not a good thing? Like, just to stick with the airline analogy, let's say you crash land on a tropical island, right? And nobody can find you for a few days. And y'all come across some berry bushes. And someone says, quick, everybody, let's eat the berries from this berry bush so we don't starve. And everyone's like, okay, all right, I'm going to go eat the berries. We're going to eat the berries with everyone else. And that one person is like, hey, maybe some of us shouldn't eat those berries just in case they're poison berries. Oh, they're not poison. They're not poisonous. Oh, you worry too much. Oh, are you a doctor? Oh, are you a botanist? Oh, you must be a plant biologist. So you just know everything. You just know what's poisonous and what's not. It's like, nah, that's not necessarily the case. What I'm saying is we just crash landed on this island. We don't know where we are. Nobody can find us. And we find some berries, and you want us all to eat the berries? All of us? Like, nobody's going to be like, okay, guys, I'm not going to eat the berries, and I'm going to wait 24 hours to make sure that they're safe and see what effect they have on you first before I eat the berries. Because if we all eat the berries, then we're all going to die. If they're poisonous, they could be perfectly safe. And if they're perfectly safe, I will enjoy your berries maybe in 24 hours. But to just run out and have everyone eat the berries that you know nothing about, you just crash landed here, you know nothing about these berries, and you're all going to run out and eat them anyway. Y'all, I can't do it. Like, mentally, I can't do it. Sorry, I've been like running my mouth. I've been ignoring the chat. It says you'd make a great attorney, PTE. Thank you. I think about it a lot. And I feel like in the next 10 years, they're going to need more attorneys than they've ever needed in life. They're going to need more attorneys than they've ever actually needed ever in the history of the country. Simply to help with the paperwork, if nothing else. They're going to need attorneys to go attend all these hearings, subpoenas, trials, take the notes, write up the dockets, review the dockets. They're going to need attorneys for all of that. They are. All right, let me calm down. Let's continue. I think we're in the last couple of items in this thread, okay? So, continuing, it says, the one Boston tweet found to still be in violation cited data that was legitimate but inconvenient to the public health establishment's narrative about the risks of flu versus COVID in children, okay? So apparently this one is actually incorrect. I won't read it since apparently it is. Oh, no, sorry. He said it's legitimate. So it's true, but it's inconvenient. So I'll read it. It says influenza. This is from the US and local Rhode Island data. Influenza is more lethal than C19 in children, while C19 haircuts cause serious, I can't wait, while C19 causes serious morbidity than influenza. It's written very poorly. While C19 causes serious morbidity than influenza haircuts in children. I don't know. And this is just an aside, but I feel like these scientific papers and things that have all these charts and graphs and things like that, often I say I'm not very good at reading them, and I really feel like I'm not. But then there are times that I think, what if they're intentionally made hard to understand? Because they might be full of BS. And, your eyes are like searching the whole page and following all these lines and pie graphs and charts and darts. And you're like, I don't understand this. And that's the whole point, because it's not meant to be understood. Anyway, that's just me speculating. Let me continue. Let's move on. Oh, that was it. That was the last one. Okay. So just to recap, we're just going to go to the front. I'm not going to scroll this whole thing. How Twitter rigged the COVID debate by censoring information that was true but inconvenient to United States government policy, by discrediting doctors and other experts who disagreed, and by suppressing ordinary users, including some who were sharing the CDC's own data. That's how. That's how. And he gave several examples of actual doctors giving their expert opinion and being silenced by Twitter. And not only that, a lot of the pressure was actually coming from the federal government to shut up certain people. So I would consider that an honor. Like, if you've made it to these people's list, that's an honor. It's an honor to end up on their list. It's very difficult. It's very inconvenient to end up on their list, but it's an honor because it means that you challenge them to such a degree, and your words run such a high risk of derailing what they're trying to accomplish that you end up on their hit list. Basically, that's kind of an honor, a little bit. Now, as of recent, a lot of these people have been reinstated, which has caused certain users, a lot of users on Twitter, to celebrate their reinstatement. Because how are you going to silence a doctor? Someone who's actually gone to medical school and finished and earned their licensing and licensure and does everything in their power to keep their license current and active, and reads the studies, reads the journals, attends the meetings, talks to other medical professionals, deals with patients on a day-to-day basis. Like, I was listening to a really good, I think it's called a Twitter Space, the other day. And it was a bunch of doctors on there talking about this very thing that we're talking about tonight. And one of them said something really powerful. They said, the essence of science is skepticism, meaning someone comes to you with a hypothesis and it is supposed to be debated. It is supposed to be argued with. It is supposed to be questioned, because basically in real science, you have to prove your hypothesis. You can't just go around just tossing out ideas and expecting people to just accept them as true just because you said so. Like, the essence of good science is debate. The essence of good science is critique and questioning and testing out the hypothesis and testing it against other known scientific facts or what have you, and weighing it and considering it and disputing it and debating it and talking about it. That's what real science is. But what has happened over the past couple of years is that debate is not welcome. That questioning is not welcome. We told you it's one way, therefore it is that way. And you better accept it or we will silence you. Like, I'm surprised people haven't just gone missing. Like, they'll take down the Twitter page, they'll ban them from certain pages, they'll flag them, they'll strike their channel, whatever. But I'm surprised some people haven't just flat out gone missing, because they create such a problem for what these people are trying to accomplish, and create such a problem for whatever this is that our government has done to us and is trying to do. Some of you might recall from my other channel, Permission to Exist. This is before I had my revelation. This is before all of this. This is probably around 2018 or 2019. And I was just starting to realize that I may not have as much in common with the left as I thought I did. And I was like, I feel like I would be treated the same way if I was in a room full of older left-wing politicians as I would be in a room full of older right-wing politicians. In other words, I didn't feel like basically I would get respect from either one. And I feel like it turns out that I was right. Like, it's still, you do as I say. You do what I tell you to do. Don't question me, little girl. Don't question me. I told you something, now you abide by it. Still the same controlling, brick wall, immovable object that it would be on the other side. Two wings on the same damn bird. So it looks like I was right, because the pressure was coming from both sides of the political aisle. One before he got out of office and one once he got in, to basically shut these people up. Shut them up. And how insulting also to everyone, really, because what they're basically saying is you can't be trusted to weigh information on your own. You can't be trusted to interpret information on your own. So we'll tell you what's correct, and you better listen to us. We'll tell you. We'll let you know what's correct. And anything you see needs to be something that we've approved, because we don't trust your ability to think critically. So we'll just tell you what to think about. We'll tell you. Don't try to come up with your own thoughts. We'll give you the thoughts to think. Like, how insulting. How insulting. But in their defense, I've seen a lot of people basically behave that way as of recent. For example, I'm going to show you. Let's go on a field trip. We're going to go on a Twitter field trip real quick. Cher has disappointed me. Now, of course, I know who Cher is. Miss Turn Back Time. Let me see if I can find her actual tweet that I responded to. Cher might be a fool, you guys. I hate to tell you that. She may have deleted it too, but let me see if she actually didn't. She can't write, for one, which I find disappointing. I didn't know Cher couldn't write like that. But let me see. It wasn't that long ago. And if I can't find it, I'll just tell you what it said. I'll paraphrase. But I did respond to it, so I should be able to find it. Where is it? Come on, Cher. She might have deleted it. All right, I'll just tell you what it said. But let me look one more place, because sometimes when you respond to a tweet, it will let you. Here, let me try one more thing. Sorry. Welcome, everyone. While I'm looking for this, welcome to you guys. Let me see. Share anti-vax. I might be able to find it that way. Let's see. I think she deleted it. Let me go to my profile, because I might be able to find it that way. Because I really want you to see it for yourself. I don't want to paraphrase it. I want you to actually see it for yourself. Oh, I found it. Found it. All right. So let me pull this up for you. So the tweet I'm trying to draw your attention to is this one right here. I can't highlight it, but it's the one right here that says share, December 17th. And it says, this is Cher writing. She said, got flu and it's a major bitch. Can't stop coughing. Throat's on fire. Was going to get flu shot, but hesitated because of anti-vaxxers propaganda. If you don't want vaccination, keep it to yourself. WTF is wrong with these people? And I responded, so you didn't look into it for yourself? I don't understand people who take every word on social media as gospel. It implies a laziness that can only be cured by consequences. So basically, really look at what she said. She said, I was going to get the flu shot, but hesitated because of anti-vaxxers propaganda. So, and if you don't want it, keep it to yourself. So what Cher is basically saying is, I don't think for myself. I don't think. So when I saw that stuff, I almost didn't get, and she never clarified whether or not she actually got the flu. Like, did you actually get the flu shot? Did you get it? Or did you, like, God almighty. She's basically saying she was going to get a flu shot and didn't because of anti-vaxxer propaganda. And if people don't want something, they should just keep it to themselves. And my whole thing is, girl, if you want it, go get it. But why not look into both sides? If you want it, research the benefits of getting it. If these people are scaring you, look into what they're saying, and judge or confirm whether or not what they're saying is actually true. Or are you one of those people who just believes everything you see? So you're easily led then. You're led around by the nose. Like, I just don't understand. So basically, she's blaming the anti-vaxxers for her catching the flu, basically. And I'm like, why didn't you look into it for yourself? Go talk to your doctor. And then if the anti-vaxxers are scaring you, why don't you look into what they're actually saying? And when you do that, you will either determine these people are insane or these people have a point, one or the other. But to just see it and be like, oh, I'm not going to get it now. If I could turn back time, I would have got my shot. But the anti-vaxxers scared me. Now I'm hot. Like, look into it. You see what I'm saying? Like, wow. Like, I don't even know what to make of it. She's basically blaming them because they scared her. And my thing is, don't let anybody scare you. Go figure it out for yourself. Go read. What sources are they citing? Now go talk to your doctor. What sources is he citing? Who's making more sense? Like, but basically the point of me showing this to you is that she's showing how easily influenced she is. And maybe this is what the federal government is concerned about. People like this. People who, whatever you put in front of them is exactly what they believe. And if you put up something different in front of them, then they believe that. Then you put up something different, then they believe that. But they don't actually think for themselves. So I'm surprised she left this up here. And Cher, I'm incredibly disappointed in your writing skills, but that's okay. Y'all like my remix? I mean, that's how she's acting. Oh, you scared me. Now I have the flu. No. If you wanted the flu shot, you should have gone and got it. I'm animated because of this tequila I've been sipping on all night long. Just full transparency. Chat says, haha, you're so animated tonight. I love it. Yeah, that would be because I'm sipping on a little tequila. Full transparency. You feel me though? Like, don't let these people, like, She's blaming these people for her catching the flu because she wanted to get the flu shot but didn't because the anti-vaxxers scared her. And my whole thing is, why live in fear? You have the money to go talk to several experts. Go talk to several experts and see what makes the most sense. And if they did scare you, then what was it that they said? Because maybe they're on to something. Who knows until you figure it out for yourself, honey. So you could just tell Cher anything, honey, and she's going to go with it, basically. So, like, it's just stunning to me. But this is what we're dealing with now. However, I do believe these people shot themselves in the foot. And let me tell you how they shot themselves in the foot. They shot themselves in the foot because for a moment in time, they trained a lot of us to be critical thinkers. So I believe before public school crumbled on itself, there was a brief moment in time where they actually were really teaching for real. And like, we were trained how to look up sources and read things and cite a source and how to think about it critically and what's a real source and what's not, what's credible, what's not. Prove your theory, prove, oh my God, that's all we did in grad school. You know, we had to come up with a proposition of some kind. Then we had to go prove it based on literature that was already out there. And as much as I really hated that activity, I can see the value in it because it's like, okay, you believe this thing. Well, go prove it then. Where are you getting that idea from? Show us your sources, cite your source. That's all we ever used to hear. Cite your source, cite your source, cite your source. Where'd you get that from? So they basically taught us how to be little investigators, basically. The chat says, Cher is a disgusting piece of work. I mean, I really used to love that little song, If I Could Turn Back Time. And now she's sitting up here crying because she got the flu because she got scared by anti-vaxxers. And I'm like, girl, don't let anybody scare you. If you wanted to do it, go do it. But maybe that last little remaining bit in your conscience, in your voice, that last little bit in there was like, hey, maybe think twice. And if that's how you're feeling, look into that. But don't just go off what people are saying on social media, goofy. You're goofy. Exactly. Chat says, now if you cite your source, you get silenced. Right. You're goofy. So basically, whatever way the wind blows is the direction you're going in. And if everyone is going for it, you're going to go for it. And if everyone is going against it, you're going to go against it. Is that how you operate? Girl, how did you live to be this old? If that's how you live your life, I can't stand people like that. People who just go with what everyone is saying and not either their instinct or at least prove it to themselves first. You see what I'm saying? And then, but you know what? It helps absolve responsibility off of you though. Because if you're just going with the crowd and then the crowd is wrong, well, you can blame the crowd, but you never actually have to blame yourself for making a bad decision. There's one more thing I want to show you guys that I feel like is particularly relevant to our conversation. And I thought it was so interesting and I bookmarked it and I'm happy that I did. So let me show you this real quick. I think it's super relevant. This is a tweet from Christmas Day, December 25th. And it says, things that didn't exist on Christmas 20 years ago. The iPhone, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Android, Bitcoin, Tesla, iPads, Gmail, Netflix streaming, Amazon Prime, Slack, Reddit, Etsy, WhatsApp, Messenger, Google Maps, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Chrome, Zoom, Skype, Spotify, Airbnb, and Uber. None of these things existed 20 years ago, you guys. And you know how I'm always asking on my other channel, like, what happened to our society? What happened to us? And I'm always trying to put out different theories and different hypotheses on what happened to our society. Something happened to us. This might be our answer right here. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see. We might have our answer right here because none of these things existed 20 years ago. And when you take them all together as one big collective, you can almost kind of see what happened. What happened? What the hell happened to us? This right here. So I don't know. It's just a theory. But I was like, wow, the iPhone wasn't out 20 years ago. It wasn't. YouTube wasn't out 20 years ago. It wasn't. What year was YouTube established? Let me see. What year was YouTube? Yeah, YouTube came out in 2025, or excuse me, 2005, February 14th, 2005. So it's not even 20 years old yet. Not yet. In a couple more years, it will be. That's crazy. Let me see. What year did iPhone come out? 2007. Wow. iPhones aren't even 20 years old. So I'm not going to verify all these because I'm assuming they're all true, even though I just lectured y'all on checking things for yourself. But to put out a tweet like that, you better be sure. These things didn't exist. Yeah, chat says it's really no wonder younger and older generations don't understand each other, right? All this came about in the past 20 years, and look at where our society is today. And so the question becomes, has our society been made better or worse by all of this? But also kind of bringing it back to our actual conversation this evening, it almost feels like a lot of these things were invented for the express purpose, ultimately, of controlling us someday. Of controlling us, on getting us on this mass tech grid to where they could monitor your thoughts. Uh-oh, what happened? I didn't click that. I did not click that, y'all. I did not click that. Let me go click. Here we go. I didn't do that. I did not refresh the page. I didn't click anything just now. To not only monitor your thoughts, but also tell you what to think and tell you when your thoughts are incorrect. You see what I mean? Because one of the things that was revealed in the Twitter files was that Twitter basically has a back-end profile on everybody, and that they kind of like a report card in a way on everyone who uses the service. And that's how they can control like the reach of your tweets, who all can see your tweets. They can even see into your DMs and things like that, which I don't know why I always assumed they could. I mean, if they built the DM platform, why wouldn't they be able to see in there? But I think that's not the point. I think the point was people assume some level of privacy, and that privacy doesn't exist. They can read every single DM that you have. So, where's the documentary Leaving This Earth Quicker Than Expected? I think you can find it on Rumble, probably on BitChute, and I'm not sure where else. But you're not going to find it on YouTube. You'll find like weird edit clip. I wouldn't even click on those. I think they're like, I don't know. I wouldn't click on the ones on YouTube though. But YouTube snatches them down just as soon as they go up. So try Rumble, try BitChute. Oh, and Odyssey. Try that one as well. It was on Twitter for a while, and it might actually still be on Twitter. Departing the Earth without prior warning. Yeah. So, anyway, you guys, I just wanted to show y'all that. So when we ask what has happened to our society, none of these things existed 20 years ago on Christmas Day. None of them. So I just thought that was so fascinating. I could just stare at that list for hours, just kind of meditating on it like, wow. Because I'm telling you, back in the day, things were different, which obviously everyone says. Oh, when I was younger, things were different. Well, yeah. But I mean, different, like real different. Um, anyway, deeply apologize to you guys for the false start on today's show. Let me see if I want to go through these comments really quick. I think I caught some of them. So I don't think I'm going to go through the comments. I'm going to go ahead and close the show. Last show on this channel for the year. We might get one more in PTE, maybe before the year is out. So we'll see. So you can look for me over there. Still debating whether or not to turn on channel memberships over there. I really don't want to be perfectly honest with you guys, for various reasons. I have a whole bunch of different reasons behind that, but there are also some topics I want to discuss with you all that I just don't want on the main platform. So we'll see. We shall see. So you couldn't possibly be on the lookout for that, but I probably won't turn them on, to be honest with you. I was going to, but I probably won't. But that is going to wrap it for this channel this year. And I'll be back on A Deeper PTE with more content in 2023. I thank you all so much for tuning in. And just as a closing thought, the big takeaway, and here I'll give you the link to that thread right now. The big takeaway with all of this is that little by little, our freedoms are being eroded from us, and our ability to speak and think freely in this country is slowly being taken. And the scariest part is a lot of people are okay with it. And they are the same people who will lead you over a cliff. And then as you're falling over that cliff, be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know we were going to fall. And it's like, yeah, but I was trying to tell you that we were about to fall off the cliff. And you argued with me and you fussed with me and you wanted to fight me because I kept telling you, hey, we're headed over the edge of a cliff. And you argue with me. Now that we're falling off the side of the cliff, you want to say you're sorry? No amnesty. Don't forgive and don't ever forget what has taken place over these past couple of years. And for those of you who are able to hold out against the pressure, against extreme peer pressure, which you all also trained us not to bend to when we were young. A lot of 80s babies will probably remember that, but it was against the whole drug thing. So when drugs were big, well, drugs are still big, but when they were on their big anti-drug push, they would teach us over and over and over again, do not give in to peer pressure. Be your own man, be your own woman, think your own thoughts, be the captain of your own ship. Don't cave to peer pressure. Even if all your friends around you are doing drugs, don't cave into peer pressure. Be the bigger person. Y'all taught us that. And the same babies that you taught not to cave into peer pressure are applying that now, and you're mad. So don't you hate it when a propaganda campaign backfires on you? That backfired. It did. It's probably why y'all stopped teaching the kids all this stuff in school and are focused on everything else under the sun, but teaching them to be independent, critical, free thinkers and not just following the crowd, because the crowd is going somewhere. The crowd could be on their way off the edge of a cliff. So with that, thank you. I wouldn't be surprised if this video gets hit. I would not be surprised at all. However, I am recording the whole entire thing. So if it does get knocked, don't worry. I will put it up on the Odyssey channel and it will live there in perpetuity. I think the word is perpetually in perpetuity. Who knows? Whatever. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Thank you for your time and your attention, and have a good rest of your evening, okay? Bye.